So I want to take a moment to give you an overview, a detailed overview of the course and what's inside of it so you know exactly what you're going to get. Obviously on the webinar, we went for about 2 hours. I was only able to give a high level overview of what the course was all about. And so I'm going to walk you through it step by step right now. So when you join the multifamily movement, you're going to get the multifamily master plan, and you're going to start off with orientation, and that's just going to guide you through the step-by-step process to get oriented into our community, get into the Facebook group, fill out your new member survey so that I know where you are on your journey and can best help you. So we're going to start there first, and then from there you're going to do your pre-course challenge. And the pre-course challenge is really about you getting your financial house in order. So in the pre-course challenge, I actually show you exactly how I automate my wealth, how I set up all my bank accounts. This is called the cash flow framework. And so let me just quickly show you how that looks. So this is the beginnings of the cash flow framework, and I'm going to show you how to structure all of your bank accounts. Remember, yes, I'm teaching you how to buy multifamily real estate, but ultimately this is going to be teaching you financial literacy and wealth consciousness at the same time. All right, we're just using multifamily real estate as the asset that we're focused on getting into our portfolio. Right? Again, this is your first property, but ultimately we're trying to build a portfolio, and so we got to get your financial house in order first. All right. So from there, we go into how to set up your Trulia and Zillow. Even though that's not the primary source that we find deals, it is a good space to get your feet wet. And then I'm going to have you analyze a deal on your own without any of the technology that I'm going to offer you. I want you to analyze a deal on your own to see if it's actually a good deal based on how you would look at real estate today. When you do that, that's going to be like a pre-assessment, and then you're going to see how far you've come along as you go through the actual course. Okay. Then in week one, remember, every module is set up with mindset first and then movement. Okay. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We start with mindset first, then we go into movement. So we renew the mind, then we take action. We renew the mind, then we take action. All right. Again, I told you, I'm not just here for the transfer of information. I'm here for your transformation, and that's going to require action. All right. So here we go over the goal of the program, which is to get you to rent and mortgage freedom, meaning that you no longer have a housing expense for the rest of your life. All right. Then I'm going to guide you through some income shifting strategies behind multifamily real estate. I'm going to guide you through busting the biggest real estate myths that are out there. All right. Then we're going to get into going over the 5 reasons most people don't invest in multifamily real estate. We're going to explain the difference between good debt and bad debt and how to use good debt to pay off your bad debt. So we're going to acquire a mortgage at a low interest rate, and we're going to acquire an asset, and we're going to use that asset to pay off all of our other debts that are bad debt. Okay, bad debts are debts that you have to pay yourself. Good debt is debt that pays itself and gives you cash flow. Then I'm going to go into all of the vocabulary for multifamily real estate. So in this video, I go step by step through all of the vocabulary. You'll even see some of the definitions down here. There's all kinds of vocabulary that you're going to learn. When you're trying to get to a new level in life, you're likely going to have to learn a new language. So this is what that module is really all about. Then in week one, you're going to start to take action, and this is going to be your financing folder. Your financing folder is going to be how you put all of your documents together to make sure that lenders receive your file in the easiest way for them to understand where you are on the journey. So I'll guide you through this really quickly. So we have 3 different types of files. There's going to be your bank files, your deal files, and your owner files. And there's a structure that is set up for, let me see if I can show you the basics. There's a structure that is set up. So the first is the pre-approval letter. Where is it? As the deal. Okay, so there's a structure that's set up for each of these types of files that you need to have to keep all of your documents organized. Then we're going to go into week 2, which is FHA and NACA debunked, the good and the bad. So I'm going to tell you what's good about FHA and NACA, what's bad about FHA and NACA, and your other financing options that you have available to you. Okay, from there, then we start doing our lender interviews, right? So I talk to you about how to discover different lenders, right? Some questions to ask them as you interview them. And then we go into our lender interviews 1, 2, and 3. Now, when you join, you'll get access to a technology I created called Successfully. It's our online workbook technology. I'm not going to log in because that wouldn't be fair to all the students who have already paid and joined the program. But you'll have online worksheets that go along with each module, or you can use the downloadable, fillable PDF, or you can order a physical copy of the actual workbook. All right. So you'll do 3 lender interviews, and then I show you how to compare those lenders to one another. All right. Then we're going to go into module 3, which is approval and affordability. And we look at the difference between what is approval and what is affordability. Just because a lender approves you for a certain amount doesn't mean that you can actually afford that amount. I also cover the 17 different methods you can use to finance your first multifamily property. Typically, my students go with FHA, VA, or NACA, but there are 14 additional ways to finance your multifamily property. All right. And then we're going to go take action. This is where I show you how to compare offers that lenders send you. You do not just evaluate the offer based on the interest rate. There are other hidden fees that lenders throw in and hide that will actually throw off an offer and make one better than the other, even though the interest rate is perceived as higher. Okay, so a lot of lenders hide things in closing costs, so you have to be able to look at the closing disclosure and really evaluate which lender is giving you the best deal. And then we go into how to make lenders compete for your business. Remember, you are putting food on the lender's table. They're not putting food on yours. You actually have the power in the relationship. Yes, they are lending you a lot of money, but you are the customer and you have the power if you are educated. And then that's how you get your interest rate down. That's how you get your closing costs down, because you stand in your power and you know your options out there in the marketplace. All right. Then we go into module 4, which is finding a market and agent. Some of you are going to buy exactly where you are. Your property might be right behind you, just like mine was in Brooklyn. Literally, the property that I ended up buying shares a backyard with the property that I was renting. Okay, so for some of you, it's going to be right in your market. Some of you are going to have to go 15 to 30 minutes out. Some of you are going to be buying from across states. Okay, remember, I bought in Oakland and New Orleans while I was living in Brooklyn. So your market may be different given where you are. If you're an expensive market like San Francisco or New York or Los Angeles, you may find that you need to go a little bit further out, or you need to decide that I'm going to be a long distance investor, and that's perfectly fine. And I teach you all those strategies in the program. Okay, so from there, once we identify a market, we need to find an agent in that market. And so I give you an actual example of an interview with an agent. Okay, this is a one-on-one conversation with an agent. What the exact questions that I asked, in this case, Lori, who's one of my agents here in New Orleans. I have 2 agents. When you are moving as an investor, you actually should have multiple agents. You never sign those exclusive agreements with just one agent. Okay, and then how to find a great market. So then I give you the guidelines, the trends that you look for. Remember, there's 4 eyes of real estate. There's eyes for the market. How do you know if a market is expanding or contracting? Right. Then eyes for the neighborhood. 33 signs of gentrification. Then eyes for the property, the hidden value and the hidden cost. And then you have to have eyes for the deal. Okay. So in here, I give you the top 18 rental markets to look at if your market isn't where you're going to ultimately buy. Okay, so from there we go into creating your search criteria. Then we do interview a couple lenders, and we try to do in person and phone. And then from there, I recommend some agents that I know in various states that you can trust. All right. Now in week 5, we go into how to find deals in your own backyard. All right. So this is where we're going to go into the scarcity mindset versus abundant mindset. Some of you have already given up. My market's too expensive. There's no deals here, etc. That's not how we move. Okay, this is, again, I'm teaching you wealth consciousness, and we're moving away from poverty consciousness, moving into wealth consciousness. If you don't believe that there's any real estate, good deals in your market, then you will not see good deals. Okay, you have to believe it to see it. A lot of people say you have to see it to believe it. It's the opposite. You have to believe it up here in order to see it. All right. Then we go over the 33 signs of gentrification. All right, and I go through them step by step, and I show you examples. Show you actual examples of the 33 signs. Okay, right? New festivals or events that put your city on the map. Okay, flowers and lawn care. Okay, this is the greenest block in Brooklyn. That's gentrification. Okay, we look for projects becoming condos. This is Stuytown in New York. Okay, these are signs of gentrification. This was the hood, y'all, and this is a little white kid swinging on a swing in what used to be the hood. All right, so these are signs of gentrification. Okay, and so that's how we navigate module 4. Then in module 5, we go into your first neighborhood challenge, and then the first neighborhood challenge we're going to do is your actual neighborhood. All right, so I'm going to have you look at your neighborhood from the lens of a real estate investor, okay? Not from somebody who lives there, but from a real estate investor, right? Then I'm going to teach you how to have water cooler conversations with your colleagues and people in your network to hear about their neighborhoods without you actually having to travel there yet. Okay, so this is what we're going to do in neighborhood knowledge challenge number 1. Okay, then we are going to go into finding the hidden value in a property. Okay, finding the hidden value in a property. When we go into a property, we're not looking for granite countertops. We're not looking for stainless steel appliances. We're looking for hidden value and hidden costs. And I have a specific set about 40 different things that are hidden value that we're looking for, and about 30 things that are hidden costs that we do not want in a property. Okay, then I talk to you about how to skip trace owners. Okay, so let's say you see a property that is run down, a lot of mail in the mailbox, the lawn is unkept, the windows are boarded up, and you want to track down the owner. I show you how to, it's called skip tracing, how to find owners so that you can get their contact information, reach out, and perhaps make a deal. All right, so from there, in Module 6, we go into how to analyze or evaluate a deal, all right? And this is a step-by-step process to be able to do that, okay? So we're going into the investment and the loan terms, the inspection and renovations, the property taxes, the revenues and operating expenses, financing and PMI, cash flow and cash on cash return, okay? The deal analysis, the affordability calculator, the value of rent freedom, the amortization schedule, the net worth change, the single family home cash out refinance calculator, and then the 13 reasons you should not buy even if the deal analyzer says purchase, okay? So this is where I start to give you access to the deal analyzer, the purchase or pass deal analyzer, and you learn what those 23 numbers are to evaluate a deal, okay? So once you understand what the 23 numbers are, why they're important, where to find them, then you're going to get access to the purchase or pass deal analyzer. And this is the powerful software that I've spent over 5 figures to develop so that you can evaluate all your deals in one place. And so I'm really excited to share this tool with you so that you can start analyzing deals all in one place using the purchase or pass deal analyzer. It will guide you step by step through how to evaluate a deal. If you go through this process, you will never make a mistake on a multifamily real estate deal. Okay, so this is really, really key, and you get access to this software for a lifetime. All right, so then from there, we go into your real estate team building, okay? So you got to develop your real estate Rolodex. My real estate Rolodex here in New Orleans is about 33 people, not 33 people, it's 66 people deep. And why? Because I have 2 of everybody, all right? So I'm going to go with you, walk you through the 31-person team that you need to have. Yeah, 31 different people, okay? So you need to have a windows person. You need to have wholesalers, okay? You need to have general contractors. You need to have ironwork and welders, okay? And then I show you how to evaluate and vet those people. You don't want to get conned by contractors, all right? You do not want to get conned by contractors. So I show you how to vet those people and make sure that they're good. I show you where to find them, how to build that relationship, and then I even give you contractor questions and call scripts that you can use to guide you through developing those relationships. Okay. Then in week 8, we go into how to find deals in a new neighborhood. Okay, in the first neighborhood challenge, we did your existing neighborhood. Now, if you haven't found a deal in your neighborhood, now we're going to start evaluating new neighborhoods where there could be potential investment opportunity. Remember, we do not want to buy in a neighborhood that has all 33 signs of gentrification. We're looking for a neighborhood that has 10 to 15 that is moving towards 33. Remember, I bought in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn on the other side of Utica. Okay, and when I moved there in 2013, they were still shooting up in the neighborhood. Now, I'm not asking you to risk your life. They were still shooting up in the neighborhood. But guess what's happened to my property value since then? My property value is still shooting up, okay? I mean, really high, right? So we do not want to buy where there's 33 signs of gentrification. That means you're buying at the peak of the market. So now you have to go explore new neighborhoods, new territories that you can actually own in, all right? So that may be 15 minutes out. It may be 30 minutes out. It may be where you're from, okay? It may be a state. I typically tell people, first try to buy where you live, okay? Then try to buy where you're from. Okay, then try to buy where you want to be a contribution, and then if none of those work, then simply buy where you're going to make money. So I bought in Brooklyn because I was living there. I also bought where I'm from, which is Oakland, California, because I knew that market, and then I bought where I wanted to be a contribution in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, right? So this is how I think about real estate. So from there, you go into making an offer. Okay, getting clear about what it means to buy right. Buying right means that you are going to step into built-in equity. Okay, that you meaning that the appraisal is higher than the purchase price, so you have equity immediately. Now you can't eat equity, but it is good to know that you found a deal. You got something at a discounted price. Then we want our cash on cash return to be at least 12%. Ideally 15% or higher, but at least very minimum 12%. Okay, and then we want a definite appreciation potential, meaning that we see the trajectory of this neighborhood and this market, and that we're going to be able to benefit and ride that wave. Okay, I also teach you the 8 ways to exit any deal without losing your good faith deposit. Okay, you have to know once you sign that purchase agreement and you're under contract, you have to know your ways out of that deal if you go into the property and you do not like what you see. I give you the 30 to 60 day home buying timeline and process. It is very extensive. So there's phase 1 and then there's phase 2. Okay, and you got to know where you are in the actual process. You got to know where you are in the actual process and make sure that you're continuing to move the deal forward. Every property that goes under contract doesn't make it to close. Okay, so you got to know where you are in the home buying process. All right. Then we go into property inspection and property inspection response. This is one of your greatest points of leverage in a multifamily real estate deal. And you got to know how to use this. I've had a student get $35,000 off their original asking price using the strategies that I taught him specifically in this module. Okay, this is one of your greatest points of leverage. That 3-hour space and time is how you can get the greatest price reduction on the property that you are about to buy. All right, so we go through that in module 9, and then I have 101 plus point purchase plan checklist for you, step by step. This is how you know you're not skipping steps. You're not missing anything. You just go through this purchase plan checklist, okay? And you'll make sure you know that you're not missing any steps along the way. And then from there, we go into module 10, where you start getting in the habit of evaluating new neighborhoods and evaluating new deals, okay? So we go through another new neighborhood challenge and evaluate more deals. Another new neighborhood, evaluate more deals. So now evaluating deals becomes habitual. Eventually you're going to get into a space where you're evaluating 1 or 2 deals a day, all right? Because this is the game of volume. You're going to have to go, in order to find a deal, you can find real estate listings in abundance. But in order to find a deal, we're going to have to evaluate a lot of deals. And then one day you're going to look at the numbers and be like, wow, these numbers look really, really good. And this is the one that you've been looking for and that you've been waiting for. All right. Then in module 11, we go through how to find a market to live and invest in from a distance. So let's say you're in an expensive market and know that you just don't make enough money to be able to compete there. Right. So we are going to go through how to find a market from a distance. And one of the key relationships that you need is an agent on the ground, right, and a property manager on the ground. If you're going to stay in the market that you live in and you're going to own from a distance, you're going to need a great property manager, but you're going to need some eyes that you trust. Right. So there's a difference between analyzing a deal from a distance. You got to get real familiar with that market and how to find the 23 numbers in that specific market. So this is an example of analyzing a deal from Detroit. Okay, I walk you step by step through me going into a new market and trying to figure out how to find the 23 numbers there that you put into the purchase or pass deal analyzer. Okay, then in week 11 we do a new neighborhood challenge if you haven't found your deal yet. And then in week 12, we analyze more deals. All right. So this is the process. In addition, you get the bonuses, which is the Fuel It module. The Fuel It module shows you step by step how and why I acquired every single property in my portfolio. Today, my portfolio is continuing to expand, and they are all listed out here. I tell you the pros of each property, the cons of each property, how I improve cash flow or revenue, how I reduce expenses, how I use property 1, 2, and 3 to get 4, 5, and 6. I walk you step by step through how I built my portfolio over a short 6-year period in the Fuel It module. Because remember, this program is about you getting your first property, but ultimately I want you to have an entire portfolio. Okay. Then all of our live recordings from our weekly deal room calls on Sundays are here for you. So if you miss one, they're all here. And as we got further along, we started naming them and putting tags in there so that you can find information based on what happened in that weekly deal room call. So there's a lot of news about appraisals coming in differently for people of color and for white folk. And so here I searched contesting, and you can see that on March 1st we talked about contesting appraisals, right? So there's a lot of gold in these weekly deal room calls, and usually if something's not directly in the course, we've addressed it or answered it in the weekly deal room calls, and you'll be able to search using your browser to see that, to find that. Okay, and then from there, we have our special situations. So for those of you who have unique situations, we've addressed many of them. Okay. So the first one is if you already have a single family, you're going to want to watch this module. This module will walk you step by step through the 6 options that you have to reverse yourself out of that situation, and the 5 ways to use FHA twice. If you are in a market that's too expensive, this is a module specifically for you in terms of your options if your market is too expensive. If you're not married yet, or you are married, you want to watch this module. This is going to show you how to rework that situation so that you can actually double your wealth, even though you might be filing taxes together or married. If you have high student loan debt, your options are all laid out here in terms of what you should do if you have high student loan debt, and how you should navigate your student loans and how you should think about that particular debt. Okay. Typically, we want to not rush to pay off our student loans. We actually want to acquire an asset that will then pay off our student loans for us. Right? A lot of people want to be debt free because they've been on that Dave Ramsey plan or whatnot, but that is not the name of the game. So I even have sections for people who've been through bankruptcy and foreclosure. If you're going to actually be partnering with someone on a deal, I give you my 50-50 shared partnership agreement. All the questions that you need to discuss, you literally just come here, download this document, have this conversation, integrate your answers that you've agreed to in this document, go get it notarized so that you can invest with other people. If you are about to move out of a home that you own, I show you a real key strategy that you should do before you sell that single family home or you move out. We talk about 1031 exchanges so that you can reduce any tax liability that you might have based on a gain that you get from selling real estate. We also go over the BRRRR investing model, right, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. This is a way to purchase a property, not necessarily with no money down, but no money in once you refinance out of that deal. If you're a veteran, we go through that. If you have kids, we discuss some strategies around that. And if you think you need an LLC, I'll show you exactly how to make sure you're protected if you decide not to go with an LLC. All right. Then we go into the fill it module. Okay, it's one thing to have the property, but if you don't have great tenants, then that becomes a problem. And I've been able to find great tenants, and I'm going to take you step by step through my screening process, right? Give you my application that you can use for them. Understand where your property fits in terms of whether it's an A-class property, B-class property, or C-class property, because that then determines what type of tenant that you actually attract. I'll show you exactly how to host open houses to make sure that you get your property filled up if you bought a property that happens to be vacant for whatever reason. The websites that you need to list your properties on. Section 8, one of my favorite programs because they pay online and on time. So I'll show you how to identify the Section 8 process in your city and attract great Section 8 tenants. A lot of people have negative stereotypes about Section 8 people, and I just found that Section 8 people are good people who have fallen on hard times, and I have great, amazing Section 8 tenants. Then the takeover tally when you are reclaiming an apartment because someone moved out because the family size increased or they got a job somewhere else. I give you the takeover tally to show you how to make sure that you cover every step of evaluating the amount of damage that might have been done to the property, or just to reassess the property before you hand it over to a new tenant. And then you also get my sample lease agreement. You can simply come in here and download that agreement. Okay, and then from there, we go into Property Management 101. You're a landlord, now what? Okay, so I'm literally going to show you how to increase revenues on your property. I'm going to give you strategies to increase your revenues on the property. I'm going to show you how to decrease your expenses on that property, because that ultimately only increases your cash flow, right? Then tenant and unit maintenance tracking, where and how you can track all of those things, because now you're going to have all different types of paints. You're going to have this kind of fire alarm. You're going to have this kind of washer, this kind of dryer, this kind of refrigerator, this kind of stove, and you need to start organizing all that information, especially as you build up your portfolio. I'm going to show you 5 ways to actually get paid by tenants, right? So that you aren't necessarily going to the door in order to collect rent, but that tenants can send it to you on the first of the month easily. And then I'm going to talk to you about renovations and how you actually run the numbers on renovations. Okay, it's called return on renovations. Nobody talks about this, but this is one of the greatest ways that you can actually increase your cash flow on a particular property. I'm going to share with you the property management technologies that I use in addition to the purchaser path deal analyzer. And if you ever have to evict someone because you didn't screen them right or they fell on hard times, then I'll show you how to do it right. We are ethical investors, and so there's a process that we go through in order to do that. All right. And then we're going to go into REI Tax Secrets. This will be it. REI Tax Secrets is where I show you how to maximize the amount of tax deductions you get from owning multifamily real estate. Okay. You do not need an LLC, but you do need to set up your accounts in the right way to make, and you need to be documenting the process in the right way to make sure, okay, that you're able to deduct all of the necessary expenses related to that property. The biggest expense that we're going to deduct is the depreciation of the actual asset, the tangible physical asset, the piece of property over 27.5 years. But then any other expense that you have related to that property, we want to deduct that to reduce your tax liability. So if you wonder why quote unquote rich people don't pay as much taxes as people who have ordinary income, it is because they have assets like real estate, which then they use deductions from, and then they reduce their tax liability. So this is really key. You are deducting or depreciating the physical property over 27.5 years, but the property is still appreciating in terms of its value. This is one of the keys to wealth, is you have assets that you can depreciate, reduce your tax liability, but that asset is still useful because you're taking care of it and it appreciates. Okay, so this is the depth of the course. I just wanted to give you a detailed overview of it because I know on the webinar I wasn't able to cover everything, but I really hope that you join. Again, I am the #1 conductor on the above ground railroad, which is multifamily real estate. Led many people to rent and mortgage freedom. I'm not saying full freedom, rent and mortgage freedom, meaning that they will never have a housing expense for the rest of their life. And I would love for you to come and join us and get started right here in orientation and begin on your journey to acquiring multifamily real estate. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for checking out this course overview. Again, go to multifamilymovement.com, multifamilymovement.com to join right now. Peace.